Hey guys, Tim with Defense Mechanisms. Want to spend a few minutes today talking to you guys about why we believe that every gun owner, whether you're a military, law enforcement, or an armed citizen, should have CQB training. And CQB training gets all kinds of different opinions about it on the internet, whether it's good or bad, whether we should do it or we shouldn't do it, whether it's an important skill or an unimportant skill. And I kind of want to just highlight on some of the things that you get out of CQB training that are very valuable, and kind of just kind of point to that, why we think it's important, right? What at its heart, what is CQB? At its heart, it's safely moving around space and managing our muzzles while working with the teammates. CQB is fighting that happens in space, right? It can be inside, it can be outside, but there's stuff there that has to be navigated around. There's people there. If they're on our team, we need to move with them in a coordinated way. If they're not on our team, but they're innocent people, we have to move with them in a safe way. We're not muzzling people, not pointing our guns at people that don't need them pointed at, right? So I think that's one of the first and most important things that we get out of, in the very beginning when we just start, is we're just learning to safely move around with our weapon. It's a lot of flat range shooting. We don't really focus on that. So what are some other stuff? Learning to problem solve under stress. CQB is all about problem solving. As you stand, you open the door to the hallway and there's doors everywhere and there's a dark space at the end and there's some light flickering and you're staring at all these things and you're trying to figure out which do you do next? How do you move forward? This training gives you the skills to turn all that into some digestible problems, put them in an order of which they should be dealt with, and just start to systematically check them off and start to move through the space. And so knowing how to do that, learning how to do that in a training environment where there's no risk of injury, no risk of being shot, and there's no bad people trying to hurt you or your children, or that you have to rescue the hostages, it's not real, right? And so it gives you the ability to start to learn that problem solving in a safe and controlled environment that someday, if you ever have to use those skills, you won't be problem solving for the first time, right? It's complex. Opening the door and there's a hallway with 3 doors on the left and 4 on the right, and there's a T intersection at the end, and there's a couch in the middle that's making some space you can't see behind. That can be a really overwhelming set of problems. Now you add moving, living, breathing people into that space. One of them might be a bad guy trying to hurt you. Solving all that for the first time in a high-stress environment is never going to work out, right? And so this training starts to give you some stress inoculation, and on top of that, it starts to put you in front of these problems over and over and over again. In the world, there's only so many shapes that structures can make. If you got opposing shapes, you can make T's. If you have, hallways and intersections, you can make 4-ways. And so we learn the shapes that the world can make, and then we start to see those shapes everywhere. And once we can break all of the problems in the world down to 4 simple shapes and have a solution on how to execute those shapes, it reduces the complexity. And so now the more we see those, the more we train, the more we build up, the easier it is to solve those problems, especially as we add in stress. Some other things that training like this does, structure clearance training does, is it tests our skills and abilities. And what we'll see a lot of times is we'll have really great shooters come into the class, and because typically they're shooting out of range, they're told exactly what to do, the little timer goes beep, and then they execute the course of fire, and we train with a lot of amazing shooters. But as soon as they start adding the problem-solving piece, and then their brain starts to get overwhelmed with all the problems that need to be solved and trying to have the solutions for them, we see that accuracy starts to degrade. And so, for sure, this kind of training tests and validates your skills. It shows you where you are strong. Hey, you know what? No matter how stressed I got, when it was time to shoot, I still made really good, acceptable hits. When I got really stressed, I found that my accuracy went down, so I need to focus more on more on my shooting while I'm introducing problem-solving skills, right? So it tests and evaluates the skills and abilities that we come with, and the same is true for our equipment. If your job or the emergency that you're planning to respond to has equipment involved, whether that's plate carriers, medical equipment, helmets, night vision, if you train with that equipment, if that's equipment that you think you're going to need to use, training with that equipment in a problem-solving environment, moving around real space, having to do balance angles of exposure, having to manage muzzle around unknowns, having to work around partners and teammates, All of that stuff also tests your gear. Is this piece of equipment good? Is it durable? Is it robust? Is it in the right place? Can I easily get to it? Does it interfere with my rifle and sling positions and ready carry positions, right? And so it's a great way to test a gear shakedown that going to the range and shooting 50 rounds at a target might not test. Another super important thing that we take away with what CQB really is about is it's about learning to read our environment. We see this when people are new to CQB everybody starts in 2-man. That's the fundamentals, the basic building blocks of how room clearing works, how our shapes procedures, door procedures, room procedures work. And so these 2 guys, they will walk up to a door, they will stand in front of that door, and then they will look at the door and try to figure out if the door is a push door, which opens into the next space, or a pull door that opens into the space that we're standing in now. Will I have to push it or will I have to pull it? And they'll be staring at the door and trying to figure out which one it is. And the more you do this kind of training, the sooner you will learn to read your environment and recognize that, when I'm still 20 feet away from that door, it's my next problem. As I'm approaching it, I realize that the knob is on the left and I can't see hinges, so it must be a push door. And if I'm on the left, I'm in the breech position, right? And so learning to read your environment is going to give you processor power back. If I can just at a glance look at a door and know what it is and what my job on it is going to be, that means I don't have to spend a bunch of high-level mental energy to figure out what my job is when we get there. And all of the high-level mental energy can be spent on any other environmental problems. If I'm hearing things, seeing things, if I realize my partner's got a problem, I got to coach them through something, help them with something, right? Processor power is at a premium when we are dealing with a whole bunch of problems around us. And so we give ourselves the procedures to solve these things so we can start to, as we get better and we learn, we advance, we can start to solve these down in our midbrain versus having our high brain dedicated to all of the small tasks of moving around space. Where our gun goes, whether it should be in a ready position or a carry position or on target or slung, should eventually work down into our midbrain, so we never have to really put cognitive energy towards it. We identify the situation in front of us, realize where the muzzle should go, put it in that position. And so this kind of training will help solidify reading of our environment and where the gun goes and how to move around our teammates to a point that we aren't having to put our high-level processing power towards it. Priority of life. I've done a video on priority of life. I recommend you check it out. But priority of life is what are the most important people in this situation. Knowing who they are and what you're going to do about it is super important. And this kind of training absolutely builds on that, right? Understanding that if I'm standing in the middle of a room and there's multiple open doors and angles exposed on me, and there's one closed door right next to me, and no priority of life for anyone but me, maybe I'm the priority of life. Maybe me and my teammate should just hard breach into that room to get out of all of these angles and reset for a second, and realizing how that priority of life drives all of the decisions that we make, whether, for hostage rescue, the people on the other side of the room are more important than us, or we're slow clearing our way through an alarm call and there's no reason to think that, there's any reason to act fast or aggressive or put ourselves at risk. We're the priority of life. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, argue with me in the comments below. Love it. If you have any more detailed questions, contact at defensemechanisms.com. We'd love to hear from you. And, please do the things, pound the buttons, like, subscribe, share, all the things. It helps us a lot. We love hearing from you guys. And you guys really drive what we do here. If you guys have a need for certain type of products, you have ideas on things that would make our products that we offer better, send them to us. We love to hear from you guys. We can't do everything you guys suggest, but a lot of your ideas turn into the next products that you see from us. And we really appreciate you watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.